call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, gotta feel the tension. In my thoughts.
Welcome back, everybody. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you think about this video and join the membership if you want to support the channel. Today, we are going to be going over the offensive side of the ball, who I think makes the 53-man roster, who I project to do it. Now, obviously, August 29th, we have the humongo cut that is going to take place in the NFL. Just basically, people are going to cut probably like 50 players off their squad in 1 second. So there's going to be a humongous stockpile of players that are going to be available within the next 8 days. So we have to look forward to that. But these are going to be the Dolphins that I think make the 53-man roster for the offensive side. But we'll also see, because I would like to see who is being cut August 29th, because that's gonna give a flux of so many different players that everything might change in an instant. We don't know who's going to get cut. So we'll start off with the quarterbacks. I think this is the easiest position. I think all of them basically make it, except for the undrafted rookie that we had. So I do believe that Skylar Thompson is going to have that second backup quarterback role. It's difficult just because Mike White is more of a gamer, I think. So he comes in just like Matt Moore, and he will play good in games. But so far, Skylar, I think, has been outplaying Mike White for the most part. So I do believe that Skylar takes that second role. Obviously, Tua Tagovailoa is going to be the starting quarterback. I've had enough of hearing what everybody's going to say, but Tua is going to be the starting quarterback. But the running backs. So this one's going to be a little bit difficult for me, just because I have this kind of itch. You know, you have Raheem Mostert. Obviously, Raheem Mostert looked great in the preseason game. Devon Achane, I don't know what's going on with the shoulder. He's having an MRI. He had it done on Sunday, so should be hearing soon in a little bit what is going on with him. So we'll figure that out. Salvon Ahmed looked fantastic. He looked really good in this last game. I mean, I think he played even better than Devon Achane, to be honest. And they are very similar of players. You know, they both, obviously Devon Achane is faster, so once Devon Achane gets more weight on him, he will be better. But Salvon Ahmed looked really good in this preseason game. I think he makes the team. Chris Brooks is the name, because Jeff Wilson, man, I did like Jeff Wilson. But the problem with Jeff Wilson is that he's injured all the time. All the time, Jeff Wilson is injured. And you can't have that bruiser back that's always injured. And I think he plays good sometimes, but he's just always injured. You know, last year we dealt with the hip injury, and now I'm not really sure what's going on with him. He just has kind of an undisclosed injury where he hasn't been able to play. I think it's going to be I like the way that Chris Brooks is playing. You know, I mean, I think he'll make the practice squad, if anything. I don't think we'll cut Chris Brooks, because he's been showcasing that he's another type of bruiser back that plays well. He's a different style of running back than we have. But the problem is that, you know, Jeff Wilson, if this injury is something that he's just being held out in preseason and he'll play the season, all right, but if he's injured during the season too, I just think at this point you just see what the kid has, because he barrels through people, Chris Brooks. So I really do like Chris Brooks being on this team. Depending on what the injury is with Jeff Wilson, I think maybe somebody, you know, scoops him up, and after the cuts he might be something like that. But you can't be the bruising back and be constantly injured. You know, we can't have that on this team. We need healthy players, especially at the running back position, because Raheem Mostert also gets injured. So I do believe that Chris Brooks is a name to watch out for. So receivers, obviously Hill, Waddle, Robbie Chosen. I think Cedric Wilson, that's going to be a tough one, but I think he makes the team. He's been making some plays. Braxton Berrios is going to be that number 3 receiver. I'm telling you right now. And Izu Kanma, definitely, I mean, all these guys are going to make the team, but Izu Kanma, I think, is going to move up slowly throughout the year and overtake some players. I think Chosen might be on the bubble of trying to make this team, because I haven't really, I mean, of course in practice that's great, but in the games I haven't really seen too much of him. He doesn't really do much in the games, so that's why I think we keep Cedric, because Cedric is making plays, Braxton is making plays, Izukanma is making plays, and we'll see what we do. We'll see what receivers get cut. I think Chosen makes the team barely, but I think, all the players are really overtaking his spot. Sorry, there's people yelling outside. On to the tight ends. I think Durham Smythe is going to be obviously the number one. I think he just gives you the best of what we have, which is not very much, but I think he gives you what we need. And then I really do believe, so it's a toss up between Tanner Conner and Elijah Higgins. I just think Elijah Higgins has been showing more than Tanner Conner at this point. And I think he has been showing that developmentally, obviously there's not going to be a whole bunch of plays for him on the field this year. He needs to learn a lot more. But I do believe that Elijah Higgins, I think the transition from wide receiver to tight end was a great idea. And I think he has a possibility of overtaking some of the roles of being that explosive tight end, because that's what Mike McDaniel wanted. He wanted Tanner Conner to kind of be that, but Tanner Conner's been injured and he hasn't really shown that he can do that. Elijah Higgins has shown a lot of, that newer tight end style, that George Kittle-esque, like that fast receiver style tight end that we've been wanting, that we thought Mike Gesicki would be, but he just couldn't block. Elijah Higgins is a little bit better at blocking than Gesicki is, or is able to learn more. So I think Elijah Higgins makes it. I think just to have that blocking tight end that we need beside Durham Smythe, so I think it'll be, the two tight end sets. You have that blocking tight end. I think we'll keep Salbert. I think that's the only reason that he makes this, is just we need that second blocking tight end, depending on who gets cut in this 53-man roster cut that comes up in 8 days. But I think just to keep it the way it is, Salbert makes it just because he can block. And then for the fullback, obviously Alec Ingold. There's not, too much there. Just Alec Ingold's just going to be the fullback. And then for the tackles, I think Armstead, obviously, Jackson, obviously, and he's been playing very well. So anybody that's been saying, all these different things about, you haven't really heard too much about him, which is a good thing. If you hear a lot about a player on an offensive line, that means they're probably doing bad, Think of it. AKA, if you hear about a lot of Liam Eichenberg, it's probably because he's doing bad. Austin Jackson, you're not hearing too much about, except when he pancaked Jalen Phillips. Honestly, of course, every offensive lineman is going to give up. Teron Armstead gives up sacks. Sometimes it happens. But Austin Jackson has been playing very well throughout this whole entire preseason. So I think we have something to look forward to there. Kendall Lamb, just a staple from last year as well. He's a good backup. And then Ogbui, I think, is going to be the other backup that we have at the tackle position. It can fluctuate from left guard or whatever it is, because we still haven't figured out this left guard position. And then for the rest of the offensive line, Connor Williams, which he needs to step it up because he wanted to ask for a paycheck, and he's looking, like he's taking a step back this year. Robert Hunt, probably the best offensive lineman that we have, because Teron Armstead he's constantly injured. Robert Hunt's the only staple here. Unfortunately, Eichenberg, I think he's going to take a backup role. He's not going to be the starter. I think we've kind of pushed past that. Isaiah Wynn, I think, will be the left guard starter coming into the season. I think he's just played the best out of everybody at that position. I think Lester Cotton, staple from last year, you keep him there. And then Robert Jones, he's on IR, so, I think you keep him on the team as well. But, yeah, I think that's who you keep on the squad. I think the starting is Armstead, Wynn, Williams, Robert Hunt, and Austin Jackson. I think that's going to be a starting offensive line. And I think you just have to be okay with it. I think if you look at the preseason game, when Tua was in, the blocking wasn't bad. You're not going to have blocking that just stops defensive linemen. Especially, you got to consider that the Texans, they have rookies and other players that are really good on. The defense is not bad, and they're coached by D'Amico Ryan. So what they did last game against the starters of the Houston Texans was very, very moving. It was good. I liked what I saw with the offensive line. It looked like it was molding together. It's just about staying on the field, It's just about staying on the field, and I think they like a lot of the backups that we have, and I think they translate pretty good to being the backups. And like I said, I think we are starting to figure out the left guard. We have to figure out all these different things, but I think we've kind of figured out the offensive line right now, depending on who gets cut. You know, we might pick up somebody or trade for somebody. You know, Dalton Risner's still out there as well, so we'll see what happens with that. But, you know, the undrafted rookie in Chris Brooks, I think, is a key. You know, Chris Brooks and Elijah Higgins are key on this. You know, I think some people have them not making the team and, you know, obviously going to the practice squad. But I think Chris Brooks and Elijah Higgins just give you a different type of player for each position. You know, Chris Brooks is the bruiser, you know, that Jeff Wilson's supposed to be, but he's younger, he's agile, and he's showcased a lot in the preseason so far that he can really stand up. I mean, he can catch. He, you know, it's not the best, but he kind of shows a lot, you know, whereas Jeff Wilson is just injured all the time. I think you just move this kid up, depending on who you get. Obviously, Kareem Hunt and Leonard Fournette is still out there. So that could be the case too. You could probably sign Leonard Fournette and then get rid of Jeff Wilson. But I think Chris Brooks is showing a lot, and I think he will be moved slowly but surely throughout this season, and maybe next season is on the 53-man roster. And then Elijah Higgins, I think you just bulk up, you get better at blocking. I think he's got the receiving threat in a good direction that he's going, but you know, you just give that guy some time, give him some weight, give him some skill in blocking, and I think you translate into a pretty solid player. That's going to be the offensive thing that I see. Obviously, we have 8 more days till the cut happens, and yeah, we'll see where they go with the players and who they cut, see what the surprising cuts are and all that stuff. But as always, hope you have a great rest of your day. Fins up, baby. Peace.